Hello again and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ursula Cockrell. This is It Is Finished Ministries. I have an exciting topic for you today about the woman in Revelation and Babylon. We're going to discover exactly who they are in this video. If this is your first time to this channel, please take a minute to subscribe. And if you watched to the end and enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share this video with others. So I have 4 points for you today. Point number 1 is in Revelation, we have martyrs crying out for Jesus to fulfill, to judge and avenge their blood of his servants upon them that dwell upon the earth. This is the purpose of Jesus in Revelation. In Revelation 6, we find that these martyrs are crying out for God to judge and avenge the blood upon them that dwell upon the earth. And this is in judging them, it is judgment upon Israel as a nation. We see in Matthew chapter 23, Jesus speaking to Israel as a nation, and he tells them in verse 35 through 36, he says, "Upon you, Israel, may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth from the blood of righteous Abel unto Zechariah the son of Berechiah, whom you slew between the porch and the altar." And he says, "Verily I say unto you, upon this generation, all these things shall come upon this generation." The generation standing before him was 40 years. This fulfillment took place in 70 AD with the fall of Jerusalem as a nation by the Romans. In Revelation chapter 18 verse 24, in describing this woman, he says, "In her was found the blood of prophets and of saints, and all that were slain upon the earth." Again, the Bible uses hyperbole to describe this. In this woman, Jerusalem, was found all the blood shed upon the earth. We're told in Revelation 19 verse 2 that he hath judged and avenged the great whore in whom had shed the blood of his servants. This is a direct fulfillment of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 43, wherein the song of Moses, spoken here in this chapter, is describing the fall of Israel and their latter days, the end of their old covenant age. Jesus tells them in Deuteronomy 32 verse 43, he says he will avenge the blood of his servants and render vengeance to his adversaries. This is a direct fulfillment we see in Revelation chapter 19 verse 2. And so point number 2, to avenge the martyrs, God must judge the great city Babylon, which is Jerusalem. In Revelation 17 we find a woman there. She is riding a beast, and we find it on her forehead. In verse 5 it says she has a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. We also find in that same chapter verse 18 it says, "And the woman which you saw is the great city." We find in Revelation chapter 11 verse 8, the two witnesses lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. Don't miss this, where our Lord was crucified. So here we see the woman is Babylon, which is the great city, which is Jerusalem, where our Lord was crucified. In Revelation 17, the woman is described as wearing gold and precious stones, and she's adorned with fine linens. We find in Ezekiel chapter 16 the same exact imagery describing the nation of Israel. God says he married Israel. In verses 13 through 15 of Ezekiel 16, he says that she was decked with gold and silver, and she was arrayed in fine linen and silk, embroidered work. But she went forth among the heathen because of her beauty, and she played the harlot. This is the exact description of what we're seeing in Revelation chapter 17. The woman is Babylon. Babylon is the great city. The great city was where our Lord was crucified, Jerusalem. It's all telling us the same story. Again, we're using the Bible and the Bible alone to make these connections. Point number 3, the fall of this woman, Babylon, is described in numerous ways in Revelation, but they all point back to one entity, Jerusalem. It's described as a mountain being thrown into the sea. We find in Revelation 18 verse 21, it says that a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. In Mark chapter 11, the context here is Jesus sees a withered fig tree that he has cursed. That is a picture of Israel, the withering fig tree. He then goes on to tell his disciples, he says, "For verily I say unto you, that whatsoever you shall say to this mountain, be thou removed and cast into the sea." A mountain was a picture of a government, a symbol of a government, a kingdom. He's telling his disciples, this mountain, Israel, the nation, Jerusalem, will be thrown into the sea, which is the same imagery we see in Revelation chapter 18, verse 21. It's also described as rocks and mountains falling upon them. In Revelation 6, we find that the mighty men, the rich men, the chief captains, every bondman and every free man, what they do is they hide themselves in the rocks and the mountains, and they say to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us, hide us from him who sits upon the face of the throne, sits upon the throne and the wrath of the Lamb. Jesus in Luke 23, describing the fall of Jerusalem, he tells the woman, don't weep for me, weep for yourselves. A time will come when they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. Again, speaking forward, the context is the destruction of Jerusalem as a nation in 70 AD. It's also described as Gentiles trotting them down. In Revelation chapter 11 verse 2, it says, leave out the court and the temple. He says, leave it out. For it is given unto the Gentiles, the holy city they shall tread underfoot 42 months. Again, in Luke 21:24, describing the fall of the nation of Israel in 70 AD by the Romans, he tells them, they shall fall by the edge of the sword, shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. We also find the same judgment spoken upon them. The plagues of Egypt were to fall upon them. We see this in Revelation chapter 16. And describing the curses of the covenant, in Deuteronomy 28, God tells them in that very same chapter, in 28 verse 60, he says, moreover, I will bring upon them the plagues of Egypt, which you were afraid of. So here we see in Revelation the fulfillment of the curses for breaking the covenant. The plagues of Egypt were to fall upon Israel. It's also, the judgment of Israel is also described as a vine being cast into the vine press. In Revelation chapter 14, we see that Jesus is riding on a cloud. He's speaking to an angel. He tells the angel, grab your sickle, cast it into the earth, for the grapes, don't miss that, the grapes of the earth are ripe. And cast this vine into the winepress, and blood comes out of this winepress. That's Revelation chapter 14, 18 through 20. Again, the imagery that is being used here is from Isaiah chapter 5. Read those verses 1 through 7 of Isaiah 5. Jesus says that he planted a vineyard. He put a hedge around it. He went to it that it should bring forth grapes, Revelation 14, but it brought forth wild grapes. And so what does he do? He takes away the hedge, he burns up the vineyard. And it says in verse 7 that this vineyard is the nation of Israel. Isaiah 5 verse 7, the nation of Israel is the vineyard. And he says, the people of Judah are the vines he delighted in. But he looked for justice, but saw bloodshed for righteousness, and heard the cries of distress. Revelation 14 is describing the fulfillment of this prophecy where the vine, Israel, would be cast into the vine press, and blood would flow out of it. So we see this perfect harmony. The last point number 4, victory over the Babylon, that is Jerusalem, is celebrated by the Song of Moses, which is a direct prophecy about the fall of Israel. Revelation 15, we see the servants of God singing the Song of Moses because they've just gotten the victory over the beast, over the woman, over Babylon. This is a direct fulfillment of Deuteronomy 32, where the fall, it is the Song of Moses that they are told to sing. And in that, in verses 20 through 21, God says, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. They are a very froward generation, children in whom is no faith. And so here we see that direct fulfillment, the singing the Song of Moses, because God has gotten the victory. He has vindicated the blood of his servants, the martyrs, upon them, upon Israel, who slew them. And so here we see a perfect fulfillment, perfect overlap. I hope you can see this, friends. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And please send this message out into the world. Many people need to hear this. Thank you, and God bless.